So, after much hype and anticipation, the AirPods Max are finally here. Now, I will admit, the AirPods Max really do deliver when it comes to sound and active noise cancellation. But unfortunately for me, it is very hard to recommend or justify the AirPods Max, because these headphones just have a lot of quirks to them that are very hard to overlook, especially when you consider their $550 price tag and the rest of the competition. Since the AirPods Max retail for $550, that's definitely going to open them up to more scrutiny for me. And it's also very hard to not compare these headphones to other popular options, like the Sony 1000 XM4s, which retail for $350, or the Bose NC700 and Sennheiser Momentum 3s, which both retail for $400. And all of these aforementioned headphones can typically be found on sales these days. And I'm just putting it out there, even if the AirPods Max were more competitively priced, I would still find it very hard to go with these headphones rather than these other headphones. But regardless, if you want to pick any of these headphones up, it will be linked down below. Alright, so first off, let's address the AirPods Max Smart Case, which I think we can all agree is universally hated. Now, from a build quality standpoint, this thing is awesome. It's got a soft touch outside and velour inside. But from a practicality standpoint, this thing is not going to protect your $550 headphones all that well. Now, this smart case is going to keep your aluminum ear cups from getting scratched up, but unfortunately, the headband is completely exposed. Now, this frame is very stiff and it does take a considerable amount of effort to flex, but this mesh canopy is completely exposed, and I genuinely worry, what if this thing were to get ripped? So obviously, one of my first gripes about the AirPods Max is that you don't get an actual hard shell case with your $550 headphones like you do with most other premium ANC headphones. And personally, I do find it very funny that Amazon is starting to get flooded with $25 cases aimed specifically at the AirPods Max. Now, for those who may be wondering why this thing is called a smart case, it's because when you place the AirPods Max inside, they'll immediately go into a low power mode, and after 18 hours, they'll go into an ultra low power mode. Whereas if you were just to leave these headphones on the table, after 5 minutes, they'll go into a low power mode, and then after 72 hours, they'll go into that ultra low power mode. I mean, Apple, just give us a power button, really? But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. The AirPods Max are very well built. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got aluminum ear cups that swivel flat. The stainless steel headband glides in and out. Up top, the headband is covered in silicone, giving us a soft touch feel. Then we've got the mesh canopy, which has a surprising amount of spring to it. And finally, there are fabric ear pads. Now, from a build quality standpoint, these headphones are in a league of their own. These things are exquisite. And personally, I think Apple took all of that hate about Beats feeling cheap and decided to give us this. But unfortunately, the material choice on the AirPods Max really does hinder them when it comes to overall comfort. Now, first off, I'm gonna have to say that these headphones are not Big Head approved, because they do have a considerable amount of clamping force. For me, these headphones just clamp down a little too firm, so after a half hour or so of wearing them, I do feel like I want to take a break. Now, I've tried stretching these headphones out and let them stretched out overnight, but these headphones still fit a little too firm for my taste. So again, these are not Big Head approved. But clamping force aside, another major issue for me when it comes to comfort on these headphones is their weight. The AirPods Max weigh in at a staggering 385 grams, which is way above average, because your typical pair of ANC headphones weigh in around 270 grams, and for comparison's sake, the Beats Studio 3 weigh in at 264 grams. Now, this 385 gram weight on the AirPods Max means a few things. First off, these are a pair of headphones that you never forget that you're wearing just because they're so heavy. These are also a pair of headphones that you really notice when they're on your head when you're walking around with them on. But also, even if you're just sitting still and working at your desk, you will start to develop some strain on the back of your neck after wearing these headphones for like an hour or so. So even though the AirPods Max have exceptional build quality, they're just way too heavy for their own good. And again, for comparison's sake, if we were to look at the Bose NC700s, which weigh in at 264 grams, or the Sony 1000 XM4s, which weigh in at 254 grams, these are both headphones that you forget that you're wearing after a while, and you barely notice them when you're walking around with them on. And then there are also ultra lightweight options like the Sennheiser PXE552s, which weigh in at 227 grams, which are even less noticeable. And personally for me, I don't think headphones should go past the 310 gram mark, which is where the Momentum 3s land, weighing in at 305 grams. Now, with these headphones, they're easy enough to ignore when you're just sitting still, but you do notice them when you're walking around with them on. But unlike the AirPods Max, the Momentum 3s don't cause any neck strain. So personally for me, the AirPods Max 385 gram weight really is a deal breaker. But finally, there are the earpads. Now, these things are super spacious and should have no problem accommodating most ear types. But personally, I don't like that they're fabric. Now, these fabric earpads do a great job of not overheating. But my problem with this material choice is that this fabric is very coarse. So for me, these earpads can get itchy at times. Now, I wouldn't be surprised that since these earpads are magnetically attached, that we'll start to see aftermarket replacement leather earpads. But yeah, for me, I'm not a fan of this super coarse fabric earpads. So overall, even though the AirPods Max have exceptional build quality, I find them to be very uncomfortable for multiple reasons. They have a loud clamping force, making them not big head approved, their weight is cumbersome and can lead to neck strain, and their fabric earpads are much too coarse and can get itchy at times. But now let's talk about tech specs. The AirPods Max charge via a lightning port, which is good because you can charge your iPhone and headphones with the same cable. But if you bought into the whole MagSafe thing like I did with my iPhone 12 Pro Max, then you're back to having to charge your phone with one cable and then another cable with your headphones, because the AirPods Max don't work with MagSafe. But personally, I would not be surprised if the AirPods Max 2 do. Now, when it comes to battery life, it's okay, but it could be better. The AirPods Max have an advertised battery life of 20 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, but if you were to use them with their ANC turned off, then you should be able to stretch out their battery life. But most premium ANC headphones these days are trying to hit for that 25 to 35 hour mark with their ANC turned on. But now let's talk about Bluetooth connectivity. The AirPods Max are using Apple's H1 chip, which means a few things for Apple Power users. Now, besides making pairing these headphones up to your iPhone super easy, it's also going to allow you to easily hot swap between any of your Apple devices associated to your iCloud account. But you can still pair these headphones up to any other device and still be able to hot swap between, let's say, your Android device and all of your other Apple devices. So definitely, the AirPods Max aren't just great for Apple Power users, they're great for power users in general. Because for comparison, most other headphones can only be simultaneously connected to two devices at the same time anyways. So if you've got a hybrid setup like me, a few Apple devices and a few Android devices, the AirPods Max are still going to be able to keep up. And thanks to the H1 chip found in these headphones, the AirPods Max have Hey Siri support, so you could just be like, hey Siri, call so-and-so or send so-and-so a text, and boom, it's done. And from a performance standpoint, these headphones have a zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But when it comes to audio codecs, these headphones only have support for SBC and AAC. Now, if you're an iPhone user, this doesn't really matter because iPhones top out at AAC anyways. But a lot of other headphones out there these days have support for higher quality audio codecs, like either aptX, aptX HD, or aptX low latency. And then there are other headphones out there like the Bowers & Wilkins PX7s that have support for aptX adaptive. And then there's Sony with their own in-house LDAC, and they're actually starting to license that technology out to other companies. Now, if you're going to be streaming your music over Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever, AAC is going to be perfectly fine. And I am the type that if I am going to stream high-res audio, either from Tidal or my own FLAC files, I do try to use a wired connection and a DAC. But unfortunately, the AirPods Max don't have an audio jack. Now personally, I'm not upset at the fact that the AirPods Max don't have an audio jack. I actually expected it because the Beats Solo Pro also don't have an audio jack. But what really makes me upset is that Apple didn't include their Lightning to audio jack cable with their $550 headphones. Instead, they're gonna upcharge you an additional $35. So if you want to use a wired connection with your $550 headphones, either to monitor your audio on, let's say, your microphone, or if you want to plug them into a DAC, or if you want to plug them into an airplane's entertainment system, you're not going to be able to right out of the box. Now, even though latency isn't a problem for the AirPods Max, you are still going to want to use a wired connection if you're working on a project in Final Cut Pro, because there is like a quarter-second delay. I don't think that your average user is going to notice, but if you're a content creator, you will. And unfortunately, even if you were to plug the AirPods Max into your Max USB-C port with their supplied cable, you're still not going to get a wired connection. So yeah, I'm not upset at the fact that the AirPods Max don't have an audio jack. I'm upset that Apple doesn't include their Lightning to audio jack cable, or at the very least, include a USB-C to audio jack adapter. But now let's talk about listening to music with these headphones. For starters, these are a pair of very loud headphones. But besides that, I actually really like how these headphones sound. Without a doubt, the AirPods Max sound better than both the Sony 1000 XM4s and Bose NC700. The AirPods Max sound much more open than both the Sonys and Bose. They sound balanced enough with strong vocals and a decent amount of physical bass. Now, their bass doesn't hit as hard as the Sonys, but the bass on the AirPods Max does hit harder than the bass on the Bose, and it does resonate a good amount. Now, even though the AirPods Max sound great, personally, I still maintain that the Sennheiser Momentum 3s sound better. Now, in a lot of ways, the AirPods Max sound very similar to the Momentum 3s. But the treble on the AirPods Max is turned up a little more than on the Momentum 3s, so the AirPods Max can get a little ear piercing at times. The bass on the AirPods Max doesn't resonate as deep or hit as hard as the bass on the Momentum 3s, and the AirPods Max don't sound as open as the Momentum 3s. Nonetheless, the AirPods Max sound good, and they offer a very dynamic listening experience with strong vocals and deep resonating bass. But are they the best sounding headphones ever like Apple claims? No. But now I want to quickly address the digital crown of these headphones. Now personally, I do think this thing is an eyesore and it looks like a mole. But other than that, I am rather indifferent about its placement, and the most important thing is that this crown does make controlling your music super easy. You simply turn the crown to adjust the volume and you can press on it to skip through your music. Now, a lot of headphones these days are starting to come with touchpads instead, and the AirPods Max large smooth ear cups are prime real estate for touchpads, but every pair of premium ANC headphones don't have to have touchpads. So for me, it's whatever. However, something these headphones do have are wear sensors. So when you take these headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and then when you put them back on, they'll start playing your music again. Now personally, I don't really care for wear sensors on my headphones, so I usually just turn them off. But from a performance standpoint, these wear sensors are really good. They're very fast to react when you take these headphones on or put them back on, and they also don't start to just randomly play and pause your music if you're walking around with these headphones on. Now, another thing these headphones have is spatial audio. Now, personally, I am indifferent about spatial audio because I never move my head around when I'm watching movies or videos, either on my phone, tablet, or computer. However, I am excited about the implications spatial audio could have on future augmented and virtual reality apps. Now, Bose already tried this with their Bose AR program, but has recently stopped, mainly because developer support just wasn't there. But now that Apple is taking a crack at it, maybe we'll start to see some interesting stuff. And since both the Bose NC700 and newer Bose QC35s have built-in accelerometers and gyroscopes just like the AirPods Max, then maybe they can piggyback off of the AirPods Max and AirPods Pro's success. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. The active noise cancellation on the AirPods Max doesn't change how your music sounds, which is great, and its microphone array does a really good job of rejecting wind noise when walking outdoors. And the active noise cancellation on the AirPods Max does manage to block out more noise than the ANC on both the Sony 1000 XM4s and Bose NC700. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. So, like you may have just seen, the active noise cancellation on the AirPods Max brutally goes after the low frequency sounds. Now, even though more higher frequency sounds in the chatter portion of this test managed to get in, since the AirPods Max just utterly annihilate those low frequency sounds, they give the perception of blocking out more noise than both the Sonys and Bose. But the ANC on the AirPods Max does have one major drawback, and that's cabin pressure. Even though the AirPods Max do manage to block out more noise than both the Sonys and Bose, they do so with more cabin pressure. Now, you don't feel too much cabin pressure when you're playing music with these headphones, but you might feel like you gotta pop your ears. And if you're watching a movie with these headphones, then you are going to notice that cabin pressure even more. And you're definitely going to feel the cabin pressure on these headphones if you're just not playing anything. Whereas both the Sonys and Bose have significantly less cabin pressure, which ultimately contributes to comfort. Now, cabin pressure might not be an issue for everyone, but it is for me. Personally, I think that if the Bose QC35's cabin pressure bothered you, then you might have the same issue with the AirPods Max. But now let's talk about the transparency mode on these headphones. It's no surprise to me that the AirPods Max have a great, very natural sounding transparency mode that also does a great job of rejecting wind noise when walking outdoors. Because the AirPods Pro and Beats Solo Pro also have great sounding transparency modes. And technically, the AirPods Max also have an active transparency mode where they'll actively block out loud noises. But unfortunately, the active transparency mode on the AirPods Max is just too lenient. Now, we're going to take the Sony 1000 XM4s into consideration, which also have an active ambient mode. The second these headphones detect a sudden spike in loud noise, they turn off their ambient mode and save you from sudden jump scares or just save your hearing in general. But let me just show you what I'm talking about. So like you may have just seen, the second the Sonys detected that sudden spike in loud noise, they turned off their ambient mode. And when that loud noise stopped, they turned their ambient mode back on. Whereas with the AirPods Max, they're not as fast to react. Fair warning, if you're wearing headphones, take them off. So, like you may have just seen, the AirPods Max are much slower to react, which is not a good thing. Now, having an active ambient mode might not be a huge deal for some people, but trust me, it really does come in handy. Whether you're commuting to work in the city and a police car drives by with the siren blaring, or if you're just at your desk working and your dog starts barking because there's someone at the door, you'll be glad that your headphones are smart enough to actively react if you've got your ambient mode turned on. So, I really hope Apple pushes out a software update that will make the active transparency mode on these headphones more active. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, the microphone on the AirPods Max actually sounds pretty good. And it also sounds noticeably better than the microphone found on both the AirPods and AirPods Pro. The microphone on the AirPods Max also does a great job of blocking out constant low frequency sounds like road noise. Because right now, this microphone is clearly blocking out a lot of road noise, but still keeping my voice front and center. And when it comes to blocking out random higher frequency sounds like chatter, the AirPods Max also do a great job of blocking that out as well. Because if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter. But if we were to switch back over to the AirPods Max, it is severely reduced, but more importantly, my voice is front and center. So overall, the AirPods Max have a great sounding microphone. But with all that being said, here's my final verdict. The AirPods Max really do deliver when it comes to sound and active noise cancellation. I really enjoy how these headphones sound. They sound very open, they have strong vocals, and they have dynamic bass that let you feel your music. They sound better than both the Sonys and Bose, but to me, they're still trailing behind the Momentum 3s. Now, the AirPods Max block out more noise than both the Sonys and Bose because they brutally go after those constant low frequency sounds. But the trade-off here is that they do have a considerable amount of carbon pressure, which is going to affect their overall comfort. And in general, the biggest reason why I don't like the AirPods Max and why I never see myself daily driving these headphones is their comfort, period. These headphones have too much clamping force, they weigh way above average, and their very coarse fabric ear pads can get itchy at times. Now, I've said this in the past. You can have a pair of headphones that sound amazing and block out a ton of noise, which is what we have with the AirPods Max. But the most important thing to consider is comfort. If your headphones don't fit right, you're not going to want to wear them. But comfort aside, the AirPods Max just have some drawbacks that are very hard to look past when you're dropping $550 for your headphones. First of which is their joke of a case. You can't travel with this. Then there's also the fact that if you want to or have to use a wired connection with these headphones, that'll be an extra $35 upcharge. And like I said, even if these things were more competitively priced, it would still be a tough sell merely on the basis of comfort. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.